Hi guys, during the break I gave you the task of doing that calculation to confirm if my answer was correct. Well, my answer was correct, but to confirm that your answer is the same. Hopefully you were able to do that, and let's continue with timelines. It is an extremely important tool to help you list all the information you are given in financial maths, whether you're doing financial maths at school level, or you're doing additional maths, or you're doing financial maths at university level. You will use a timeline. Extremely important tool. So we're going to do as many questions using them as we can. Okay, so this is question 2. Here we are told that 75,000 Rand is invested into an account which offers interest at 11% per annum compounded monthly for the first 24 months. Already, because they've said the first 24 months, you know something's going to change here with the interest rate. So even though with you guys I am just reading portions and putting information in portions on the timeline, generally I would do a read of the question right till the end and then see whether my timeline needs to be months, years, or quarters, or whatever the case is. And because I've read to the end and I can see we're going to eventually work in years, it's better to keep your timeline consistent. So don't do half of the question in quarters and then the other half in months and then add years in. It's going to confuse you terribly. So keep everything consistent. Let's work in years, and we can always times n by the relevant compounding period. Okay, so let's draw our timeline. We said we're going to get to 6 years because we read ahead there. And we start off with 75,000 Rand. Remember, we use a K to represent 1,000. This investment account offers 11% per annum compounded monthly for the first 24 months. So for the first 2 years, we see that our interest rate is compounded monthly. So we said it's 11%. We're going to divide by 2 because the relevant interest rate over those 2 years is 11% compounded monthly. What we also then keep in our heads is that the number of compounding periods in those 2 years, n, will be 24. So I like to write this on the timeline because I don't then have to go and work things out. I know straight away, okay, I've already multiplied n by m being your compounding period, and therefore I know that n is 24 months. Okay, let's see what else happens. Then being after 2 years, the interest rate changes to 7.7% per annum compounded half yearly. So now we've had this happening for 2 years, and then the interest rate's going to change until the end of this investment period. So from time 2 all the way to time 6, your interest rate now is 7.7%. And we said compounding is half yearly, so every 6 months. So we're going to divide by 2. So we're going from time 2, time 3, 4, and 5, all the way to time 6. So from time 2 to time 6, of course, that's 4 years. And the number of compounding periods would be 4 times 2, because compounding is every 6 months. So that's going to be 8 compounding periods in 4 years. Okay, so count 1, 2, 3, 4, times that by 2, and that will be your number of compounding periods. All right, so at this stage, if that's all the information they gave us, we could work out the value of the investment at time 6. However, it gets more complicated because they tell us that 9,000 Rand is withdrawn from the account after 1 year. So at this time 1, we take away, so I'm using brackets, we take 9,000 out of the account. And then, oh, that's the wrong question, there we go. And then after, then a deposit is made, 3,000 Rand is made 3 years after the initial investment. So at time 3, we put in, okay, or you can go back to your blue if you like, 3,000 Rand. Okay, the question says how much will be in the account at the end of 6 years. So after your interest has changed from monthly to half yearly, and you've taken 9,000 Rand out of your account at the end of the first year, and then later on you deposit 3,000 Rand after 3 years, what's going to happen to the value of your investment? Remember, you started off with 75,000 Rand. So I'm going to repeat the method that I use is to just simply do the whole question all in one using the compound interest formula, which is A is equal to P into 1 plus I to the n. And then I move along the timeline, as we all do, using 1 plus I and your applicable n and your applicable compounding period. All right. So we're moving to the end at time 6. This is our value at the end of year 6. So A would be equal to 75,000 Rand. And for the first 24 months, our interest rate is 11% compounded monthly. However, because there's something happening at this time 1, we cannot just go all the way to time 2. Well, I mean, you can if you're using a different method, but with the method I'm doing, we're not going to go all the way for 2 years with an interest rate of 11% compounded monthly. I'm going to just go until the end of the first year when that 9,000 Rand is withdrawn, and then I'm going to take that amount and move it forward. So 75,000 Rand, I'm only going to grow it for a period of 12 months, just so that I get to that point there, and then I'm going to take the 9,000 out. So it's 11% for compounding monthly. It's for a period of 12 months. When we get there, we're going to take 9,000 Rand out. So at that point, we subtract 9,000. And then what I do is I say, okay, so now that's going to give me the value at the end of time 1. I then move that whole thing. So I'm now at that point, I'm now going to move it forward to show still the applicable interest rate, which is 11% compounded monthly. So it's 1 plus 0.11 over 12, and that's for a period of 12 months. Okay, that takes me now to the end of time 2. When I get to the end of time 2, I then note this interest rate change for that time period from time 2 to time 3. So then I multiply by the applicable interest rate. Remember, we multiply into 1 plus I to the n to move you anywhere along the timeline. So this interest rate is like a magic tool that helps you to move forward in time. So therefore, it's going to be times 1 plus I with the new interest rate all over 2, because remember now compounding is semi-annually. And so if we're just looking at 1 year, 1 times 2 compounding will occur twice. Okay, I only see what's happening up until time 3 because I know at time 3 there's going to be 3,000 Rand put into the account. So then now, so that's all of that, and really in your workbook this will all fit on one line. It's just because I'm using a lot of space here to show you. And then to this whole thing, remember this is all part of the same sum, I then add 3,000 Rand, okay, at that point. And I'm then going to move this entire expression. So here I've added my 3,000, and now for the next 1, 2, 3 years, I'm going to move forward to time 6 using the fact, okay, so now my n is going to change because it's only for 3 years because something happened at time 3. So 1, 2, 3 times 2, which is 6, and that's going to be my applicable n for this question. So therefore I multiply by 1 plus 0,077 over 2, and we raise that to the power of 6. Okay. You then put that monster into your calculator as it appears. And this is the benefit of using the method I use, which is to do everything in one step and find the final value at time 6. The benefit of doing it is you can do the entire calculation in one step, so you don't have to round off in any intermediate steps. Whereas if you're taking things in little portions across the timeline, you then have to either round off or keep, and then you can lose accuracy, or you've got to then use the memories in the calculator, which some learners are not too confident about. So I prefer doing everything in one step, rounding off at the final step, and then getting the answer. Okay, so if you do that, put all of this into the calculator, and then round off right at the end, you will see that this 75,000 Rand, given all these changes, withdrawal of 9,000 Rand at year 1, interest rate change at time 2, and then an additional 3,000 Rand at time 3, and then moving it across using that interest rate change of semi-annually all the way till the end of time 6. If you put all of that into your calculator, you will end up with a final answer of 1,149,283 Rand and 50 cents. Please do check and confirm that whichever method you are using to move money across your timeline, make sure you get to that final answer. All right, guys, that is all we have time for. Obviously, timelines do take time, so make sure that you spend time revising this. Until next time, cheers.